Yusuf Matt and Edson Castillo will both be out with suspension in our next game against Cape Town City. And this presents an amazing opportunity for players like Samkelo, Zwane and Fundo Vilakazi to actually be in the starting 11. But how will the coach set up elsewhere in the team because of these two players who are missing? And also considering that Chiefs is trying to win the remaining games of the season, but also Chiefs are also trying to prepare for the next season. Let's start at the back. Before we even talk about the back, we also need to talk about the system. I want to ask you this question. Do you think that Chiefs will come back and change the system? Because the 4-2-3-1, we've been playing the 4-2-3-1 since the days of Nsegi. Even Zwane, at some point, he was playing the 4-2-3-1. But it's not really worked for us now, has it? So the question is, do you think that the coach will stick to his trusted 4-2-3-1, or is he going to change the system? That's the question that I'm leaving with you. But personally, I think that he will keep the system. Do I think he should keep it? No. I believe that Kaizer Chiefs should be playing a 4-3-3 with a single pivot. Play Umteto as a single pivot and play 2 8s in front of him. Or even play an 8 and a 10 in front of him instead of this thing of playing double pivots. Because if the players are not disciplined, at times you end up finding out that both of them are up front, which is how we consider that goal of Monapule Saling against Pirates in the derby, because both of our pivots were higher up in the field and they left a huge gap at the back. So having a single pivot, then you know that there is a single player whose sole responsibility is to clean up whatever that spills when you are trying to attack. But if you have a double pivot, sometimes the players don't communicate that well, and at the end of the day, you end up being exposed in midfield. But enough about the system. Let's talk about the personnel, since we know that the coach is going to stick with his 4-2-3-1. Goalkeeper, Bruce Vuma. I think the only thing that's going to change goalkeeping-wise is the fact that Brendan Peterson will not be on the bench because of what happened between him and Kevin Johnson. And we have heard some rumors by also Etten saying that Brendan Peterson was disciplined by the club. They told him to stay in his lane, or to at the very least try and avoid confronting the coach in public, because as most of you were saying, it looks and it is disrespectful to talk to the coach like that, which I don't think so. Anyways, Bruce Vuma still remains as the goalkeeper. And seeing that Uri Frosler came back as right back in the previous game, I think that it's time for him to come back and take his place. But I won't be surprised if the coach sticks with Kwinika again. Centre back pairing, given him Simango, will be pairing with Edmilson Dove, because as far as I remember, he has served both of his match suspensions, unless I'm mistaken, because he got a straight red against Swallows, and then we played against on the Tuesday Arrows, and then we played the Pirates. Yeah, so he's done with his suspension. So Dove will be back pairing up with Umsimango. And by the way, I just want to say something about Dove, and I've said this before. A lot of people hate on Dove because they say that he makes mistakes. But when he makes mistakes, what is he trying to do? He's trying to play forward passes, and what ends up happening, sometimes they end up being intercepted, and people have a beef with that. But the same people will have a beef with Titloko playing back passes. So you have to decide, people. Do you want Dove to play forward passes, or do you want him to do exactly what Titloko does, which is play back passes? Pick a lane. Now, when we go to the left back, we have Usfiso Hlanti, who's obviously going to start whether you like it or not. And given the fact that it's sort of a big game, and a big game that means a lot, coach will not be trusting Umashiane to go out and do the business for him. Do I think it's a good idea? Of course not. And at the end of the video, I will give you my own starting 11 and not what I think the coach will be playing. We go to our double pivots. So the first and obvious choice right now is Uguti Usbongiseni Mthethwa will be one of the starters, given Uguti the other two guys are not there. Now the question is, who's going to pair up with him? Well, there are a few options. The first option is Unjabulo Ngobo can play as a second pivot in midfield. We've seen him play in that position before. But there's another player that the coach has not played who can play as a second pivot, and that is Samkelo Zwane. Because I do not understand for the life of me why Samkelo Zwane is not playing. Right? Because you have Umteto, Castillo and Mart always just, it's either this one or that one, this one or that one, in and out, in and out. So given ukuthi Umnqobo is not played as a second pivot, given ukuthi Samkelo Zwane is not trusted, I will not be surprised unless Chiefs have made a decision. I will not be surprised to see Usiathemba Sebe coming back after such a long time. Because, I mean, even Mtutuzi Mdantsane, he did not play, or he hadn't played a very long time before the derby. And then all of a sudden we saw him coming in during the derby game. So I won't be really surprised if I was to see Usiathemba Sebe. But I think that's just far-fetched. And the most realistic option, or the thing that he can actually do, coach, is the fact that he can finally bring back Samkelo Zwane as at the second six. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because if you're going to play a 10, the question is who? Because you have Mtutuzi Mdantsane, who came back and played a decent game, right? You have Utoli, who I don't think they'll be making him start a game, so it's safe to say Utoli might not start a game. But then, what about Unqobo? Who is he going to start between Unqobo and Mdantsane? And my gut feeling tells me that he's going to trust Mdantsane based off the fact that he pulled him out, he brought him onto the team, and he actually did do something, providing an assist. Well, it wasn't an assist because he passed the ball to Modi, then Modi passed it to Dupri. So I do think that Mdantsane might be the one who can end up playing as a number 10. And then when we go to our forward line, this is where it always gets interesting. Well, not interesting, weird. Because on one hand, on the right, we see that Usaele is still not having the final product. So they will bench him and play Dupri on the right. And then on the left, obviously, Umodi, not Dupri, you always know those two are going to play. Now the question is, there is this thing that he's been doing that I don't understand between Gonzalez, Ranga, and Duba. Because sometimes Ranga is there, Gonzalez is not there. The following game, Gonzalez is there, Ranga is not there. So the question now is, who is he going to trust? And I think that he's actually going to do the right thing for once and bring back Uduba. Reason being, he scored in the game against Arrows. After that, he came on against Pirates, and he actually had quite a decent game. But I won't also be surprised if the player that he starts with is Uranga Chibabiro, because of the experience and the fact that he's just, once again, doing that rotation and trying to see who actually can perform better. Now, I promised you that I was going to give you my preferred starting 11. And it goes like this. I'll play 4-3-3, right? And at the back, I'll have, obviously, Uprosip Vuma as the goalkeeper. And as a centre-back pairing, I'll have Umsimango Nodove. Ne? And then as the right back, I'll have Dylan Solomons. Because whenever the guy has played so far this season, he has actually performed really well. At left back, I would play Martial. Because people will say, Martial is not really a defender, but Tuchland is also not playing as a defender now, is he? So, if I was not to play Martial as a left back, I would even go as far as to say, I would play Uri Frosler in that position. Or even play Udove there and give the new boy Luke Flus a start there alongside Umsimang. But I would not play Ushant because he's also leaving. But besides that, I'll play Mashane and have Mashane at the back, have Udove, have Umsimango and Solomons. Go to midfield as a single pivot. I would play Usbong Mtetwa. And in front of him, I would play Ama 8 out 2. Ne? Even the 8 and the 10. And in that case, I would actually play Samkelo Zwane, and I will also play at this point, based on form, I would play Mdantsane because he came back and played a good enough game. So Samkelo Zwane, who's this guy? Mtetwa, Samkelo Zwane as an 8, and then as a 10, I play Mdantsane. Or if I don't play Mdantsane, I give Mtutuzi Shabalala a chance. The reason why I wouldn't want to play Mtutuzi Shabalala and Samkelo Zwane at the same time is that I already feel like I have a lot of youngsters in the team. So I would rather play Samkelo Zwane as a person who's going to provide passes going forward and also be able to play the ball. And as a 10, Mtutuzi Mdantsane for experience as well to kind of balance things out. And then when you go forward, I obviously as my number 9, I will play Duba, and then on the left wing I play Modi, and then on the right wing I play Ashley Dupri. That's my team right now. The only person that I am playing right now is because Mtutuzi Mdantsane is because of the performance that he showed against Pirates, and to me that shows hunger. And I would obviously be ready at halftime if anyone doesn't perform to bring on Mfundo Vilakazi, because I don't want him to start games. I want him to come on to the games around the 60th minute and still be adjusting. But Abo Samkelo Zwane, I feel like they've proven themselves Uguti, or they've shown Uguti they can play in this level of football. Although someone might argue Uguti at times they look too relaxed. But based on quality and the players that are available, I would actually play Samkelo Zwane and bring on Mfundo Vilakazi in the second half. But what would your starting lineup be? And what do you think about the coach changing or not changing his system? Let me know down on the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember, equals at Pelumoy.